What's up, fam? Welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about how to maximize the total funding you can get. I'm going to be giving you guys some tips. I'm super excited for this video because the more funding you have, the more deals you could get into now versus having to save. Not later, but now. Let's get into it. So one big thing I want to highlight when we are applying and maximizing funding, we want to make sure our LLCs are structured correctly. So I'm going to go through a handful of tips regarding LLCs. I've already kind of touched up some of this in some prior videos, but just as a refresher, when you're setting up your LLC, you don't want to be super specific. You want to make the name vague. So what I mean by that is, if I was Miggle's real estate company and that was the name of my company, real estate's kind of considered a little bit higher risk versus making it something generic like Miggle Empires. It's not exactly attached to a specific industry, and they can't say I'm specifically doing real estate just off the name. Because when we're introducing and ourselves trying to get funding from these banks, we want to have those low risk NAICS codes so we could get the maximum funding. If you need to change the name, let's say, you already set up your LLC without this advice and the name is very obvious that it's high risk, you can always do this by reaching out to your Secretary of State, depending on the state that you're in, and doing an amendment and changing the name. So with the NAICS codes, it determines your industry's level of risk. So things like e-commerce, consulting, or marketing are generally labeled lower risk because there's less overhead, and those type of businesses, they've seen historically being able to grow a lot faster. So I recommend for people doing real estate, doing something like consulting or marketing because it's very generic, and a lot of real estate activities does one shape or form include that type in their business. So for example, my Airbnb arbitrage business, I don't own any of those properties. I'm just marketing it. So that's my marketing company. My consulting business for fix and flips, you could consult for anything. So, choose one of the twos. If you do need to change your NAICS codes, then there's three things you got to do. One, you got to contact the bank if you already have an account with them and you were already labeled like real estate with them, contact the bank, have them change the NAICS codes, tell them, we're doing a different direction. Our business model's changing. Now we're going to be instead of doing real estate, we're going to be doing consulting and coaching for people in the real estate sector. That's totally fine. You're also going to want to change your business's description through the Secretary of State. Not every state has this option, so you'll have to give them either a call or go online to make sure that's possible. And then if you have a Dun & Bradstreet account already made, you're going to want to change this from the Dun & Bradstreet website. It's pretty simple. You just go online and get that updated. If you need to get it fixed or have any additional questions, you could just reach out to their customer support. Now, if it is a high risk and you can't change the NAICS code, then the next best thing is just open up a brand new LLC now that we know how to properly do it, and you'll be good. Again, you can still get funded on new businesses either way, so it's not going to be the end of the world if you got to restart a new one. For example, for me right now, I have 3 LLCs. I got one opened in California. That is my marketing business, aka the Airbnb arbitrage. I have my Wyoming LLC. That's for Motive Miggle. That's strictly for like marketing and consulting, which I am because I'm teaching you guys this, so that would be considered consulting. A lot of what I do has to do with marketing, so that does add up. And then my Indiana one for fix and flips, that one's called DM Empires. I said that we do consulting for the real estate sector. But the cool thing with me recommending is I always recommend people have multiple LLCs because this allows you to apply for those same cards again under the other LLC. Bonus points if you register the LLC in another state. because now I have access to the banks that are specific just to California. I don't have a PNC bank out in California, but now I do out here in Indiana, so I could get funding from them. If there's any bank specific to Wyoming, I could do the same thing. So we're just increasing the opportunities and the different options we have to be able to get more funding based off of just geographical location. Another big tip is when you're filling out these applications for your business, your address cannot be a P.O. box. This looks sketchy to the banks. You could use a residential address. That's fine too. It doesn't need to be an office space. A lot of businesses these days anyway are working from home, so this is totally fine. You don't need to pay for like a fake office or whatever that you're not really going to use. Unless you already have one, then that's totally fine. But don't do a P.O. box. It's going to end up in a denial. The other big thing is older LLC age does look more attractive. 6 to 12 months is a pretty hot spot. But again, like I said, like my Airbnb business last year, I got approved for like a 25 and 50K card when that thing was barely a month open. So you should still be fine. Some banks will care about that, but it's just the game we play. We're gonna have to fuck around and find out. So that's all good. You could also purchase aged corps online or ask within your network. I prefer asking within your network just because you do have to be careful. Sometimes aged corp companies have flagged businesses that they sell that may not even meet the needs that we're looking for, and I don't want to see you guys get screwed over on that. But in the future, in a later video, I will be vetting out some legitimate providers and add that resource in the program at a later point. But for now, if you have people in your network, do that. If you can just open up the LLC brand new, that's fine too. But the key here is to get multiple LLCs set up now, let them age, and again, bonus points if it's in a different state. That's going to give you more access to other types of funding within that geographical location. Cool. So next big thing is, I've talked about this before, is it's really key to have those good relationships with banks. So when we're creating that relationship, we're either going to open up a business checking or a personal checking account before we apply. If you've had an established relationship with them prior, like you already had like a personal credit card with Wells Fargo, you don't necessarily need to open up a business checking account with them because you've already had some trust and built that rapport with them. But the key thing here is the longer you have a business checking account open and the more liquid capital in the account you could deposit in it, makes you more fundable. So at a minimum, let it sit for 7 days and then apply if you're in a hurry. Banks like US Bank or BMO Harris, they only take a screenshot. So if I wanted to apply for funding tomorrow, I would deposit, at a minimum like 5K if you've got it. Put 5K into the account. The bank, I'm gonna apply. They're gonna take a screenshot of how much is in there, and then I'll be good to go. And then you can move the money around if you need to after you've gotten approved. The other big thing is maximizing fundability. A big part of this program, it's called Family Legacy University. For me, I'm teaching my siblings how to get this type of funding. We're gonna pull those resources together. If I could get my 4 other siblings $200K a pop, including myself, that's $1 million to get into real estate deals. So be creative. That's the way to maximize your funding. And I hope that was super helpful. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Much love. Stay beautiful.